Alright folks, welcome to game number 1 between Leenock and Ourk in the Red Bull Road to Wololo September Week 2 qualifier. So we got Ourk here in the blue trunks on Abbasid and Leenock in red on Rus. So Leenock will be eager to get 3 scouts on the field as quickly as he can here. He's quick to find a hunt over here. He's going to scout towards this gold mine as well. He's going to miss this one, but it is pretty safe, I think. It's going to be hard for Ourk to get over to it. He's gone for a second scout as well. Pretty customary when you're playing against the Rus to try and deny as much gold as possible. He's tagged these wolves. He'll be eager to bring the deer back home as well if he can. Because that's 75 gold there, and another, what's that, 7. So 75, so he is going to get 145 gold off his Rus opponent by doing so. Over here he's denying another 70. So Ourk. So Leenock will be eager to try and find this one over the back, as well as all the sheep. Only up to the 80 bounties so far, but some sheep back at home. Bring his scouts back home. This one doing a fairly safe scout path to be able to grab all these sheep, come back home. So he's not wasting any gathering time. Well, Ourk already transitioned onto the mill, so he's got wheelbarrow on the way. Going to clear out another wolf off his opponent. Leenock's managed to pinch a wolf off Ourk, it seems. Ourk eager to try and grab these sheep, because they are also worth 5 gold apiece. And on top of that, if Leenock can get to 250 gold, it really propels his eco forward. He gets another gather bonus. So getting to 100 gold gives him 5%, getting to 250 gives him 10%. Almost a full eco tech, so almost getting survival techniques for free, basically. As well as getting horticulture, because I believe it affects all food gathering. So pretty solid if you can get that. It'll help counteract the fact that the Abbasid will have that golden age kicking in soon, so that'll give them basically free tier 1 eco techs of everything. On top of that, fresh food stuffs gives them that half price villager. So playing for 2 town center. Oh, and this is great for Ourk. He spent only on the 1 mining camp, and he gets access to the 2 mineable resources, so he can get the gold for fast food stuff, so he can get the stone for his second town center, possibly even a third if he wishes. Bearing in mind, Rus also have an easier path with their town center if they go Golden Gate, which is pretty much what they're going to go for. Oh, surprise, surprise! The Rus players open Golden Gate. It's the only thing more likely than French players opening, well then, I guess Abbasid opening with fresh food stuff, so French opening with their boosted stables to start with, I was going to say. They're pretty keen to do that. So it looks like Leenock's going to get the gold he needs to actually get that food gathering bonus. So Ourk in the meanwhile, he's got Eco Wing on the way. It's not quite there for the gold for fresh food stuffs. So I wonder who's going to play more aggressively early on, and who's going to play more heavy on the town centers, or if we're going to see just 1 TC play from both our players here. Because you can go fresh food stuffs and still rely on the fact that it only takes about 6 villages to actually pay for the upgrade. Anything beyond that is the saving, even off 1 town center. It's just that obviously with 2, you've only got to wait 3 villager rotations a whole minute, and that's it. It's already paid for itself. And after that, everything else is just a huge dividend. So Leenock for now, it's not pumping anything through the Golden Gate. Can't really afford to, doesn't have the gold. Gathering some stone. He's bringing 8 villagers up. He wants to go the tower harass, it looks. And Ourk, not gathered any stone at all. Leenock, still gathering stone and stacks of wood. And he's now pumped his gold into more wood. So he can go for a bore here and follow it up with a second town centre. Nice little bit of gold income as well. Almost gives him what he needs in time for his next supplies. So he's up to 300 stone. He can go for a forward TC. I thought he was going to go for tower for a sec there, but no, he's just going for the bore. He'll put the TC down just next to it. And Ourk in the meanwhile. Gonna go for the early stables harass. He has hasn't gone for fresh food stuffs yet. It is on the way now. So he has delayed it slightly. That's the wood he needs. Needs a little bit more stone. So stables is out to apply some pressure on this forward second TC. There's nearly enough villagers on it. But you're not really going to get a lot because you can just garrison. So the horsemen, they can't really stick around for too long. These vills moving up to try and get on this hunt by the looks of things. Alright, so Ourk's going to go for his own second TC on the hunt. He does have the horsemen here, so he can start working away the scouts, but meanwhile they do heal, the horseman doesn't. So Leenock does have that faster second TC, and he can always follow up with his own stables here. In fact, he's going to go barracks and range. Because Ourk is going to go with a range to follow up with the stables. So Ourk still going to have more of a military advantage here. That later second town centre though. So we've got 29 and 3 to 27 and 5. Leenock's fitting in a second range in the meanwhile. But so's Ourk. So we're going to be pushing off 3 production facilities here. Bore about half finished, so eventually Leenock is going to have to try and mosey on over to this one over here, or he can always fall back to the hunt. I mean, if he gets a cabin here and then one over here, she also gets a nice gold gen through this. But it's a little bit more expensive to do that, so he's going to have to try and get a bit of value in a fight to be able to start playing macro and getting a bit of value out of the cabins. Yeah, it's only got the one. So it's not really common to see players invest in them at this level of play, obviously, because, you know, you're better off getting more military. So double stables there, following up for Leenock, while Ourk has just got the 3 production facilities for the moment. So Leenock's just been holding onto his Golden Gate supply, other than spending 1 tick of gold onto a stone, onto wood. Sorry. Ourk now just starting to wall up this little passage, keep his base safe. Probably look at trying to wall up this bottom side of the map as well if he wishes. I think it's just going to come down to who macros up here in feudal better before Leenock opts to go for a big push by the looks of things, because he does have 5 production facilities to Ourk's 3, now 4 with a 5th on the way. So Ourk 39 and 17. Leenock 42 and 11. So Ourk has a bigger army. It's a bit strange to see him not try and take advantage of that fact, because Leenock will soon overlap him in terms of production, I think. Not to worry, Ourk's not population capped. Let's get the scouts checking out what Leenock's doing, which is chasing those scouts. Trying to fit in some upgrades. So he's got siege engineering, he's got his range damage as well, and he's adding ranged armor. Ourk hasn't yet started to go for any armory. At the moment, Ourk's just connecting up that town center. So he's still only about halfway to that golden age. The sooner he can get there, the better, because it just gives him that little bit more of a boost. Research speed increased. He can catch up to Leenock in terms of techs. So he hasn't gone for any armory yet, so Leenock will be fighting with upgrades. Advantage over Ourk at the moment. Just needs to start banking a little bit of wood so he can actually make use of the siege engineering tech, which he's invested into. At the same time, Ourk, I think, really just needs to add a bit more production, because it looks like he's saving to go to castle. He's banking quite a bit of food now. He needs to get a bit more wood to be able to actually field a good feudal army here. A lot of idlers here. He needs to move these guys onto berries. This is costing him a lot in terms of eco. He's got 8 idlers there. 7 idlers, sorry. And he's moving in, but he's going to take a lot of damage there. I don't think that was worth it for Ourk, because he doesn't really have any access to early healing. And Leenock really only lost a unit there for all of that damage. And some of the horsemen are quite low now. Ourk now spending up a lot more of his resources. He's not going to go to Castle Age. He's over-queued a little bit here, and he's housed at the minute, so his macro is just slipping up slightly. Desperately needs to get a house or 2 down. Then he needs to get these villagers on it, just so he can keep pumping out the units. Leenock's now going to punish a little slip up, because he's ready to start adding the rams. I don't know if Ourk's massed up enough. He's at 100 pop, and so is Leenock, but those horsemen aren't really worth as much as the knights. And Leenock still leads in terms of the armory upgrade at the moment. So we haven't had second tier of Golden Age kick in yet. Ourk's been way later with the armory. Just now adding some more production. This knight's not able to stick around because there are some spears in tow. Trying to actually wall in his villages with the buildings there. He's given himself a bit of a buffer, so Ourk cows once again, and these slight mistakes with his macro, and he's slightly overgathering on wood now, whereas he really needs to try and get on this berries over here at the back if he can. Maybe even this one over here at the far side. Although I suppose he wants to invest in farms, because he knows he can't really risk having units out unsafely when Leenock is slightly ahead at the moment. So Leenock trying to force the horsemen to engage the rams first, and it works well, because he can get a lot of damage off with the archers before the horsemen even engage. That's a lot of horsemen for Ourk, and now Leenock's probably going to have to try and make sure there's no spears left. And Ourk, it's a rough fight for him, because he's going to have to focus down all these archers. He's doing a great job at splitting the archers up, focusing fire across archers, and so there's really only knights left for the horsemen to deal with, but it's saying that it's still a rough trade without any spears for Ourk, and so Leenock's going to be able to stream forward, start chipping away at some of these structures, but he's going to need to be careful, because there is still a bigger bowman ball here for Ourk, and he does still have the garrison damage there as well. So Leenock is probably going to lose a ram or 2, and this is a little bit wood expensive to throw away these rams. They used to be 300 wood, now they're 250. So they're not as high impact to throw away now. But Leenock's still getting double broadaxe. It's just finished up. Just to try and get the wood he needs to cram out these suckers and use them as bait to try and bring the archers forward, because now I think his range ball's pretty much the same size as Ourk, and the threat of the knights is really scary. Ourk's going to have to get castle age to really be able to overwhelm this Rus composition in terms of pop effectiveness, because until he has access to knights, crossbows and veteran units, the Rus player definitely has the better army value in that feudal age. And Ourk desperately needs to get this repair off. He's going to be too slow on it, and the town centre is just going to fall. He had the wood in the bank to try and repair a little bit longer there, I think. And now he's sort of forced to try and have to take and win this fight without much of a front line, and he's going to lose a bit of production in the meanwhile. I mean, probably wants to cancel that archer because he's just going to get picked off as he comes out. There are some more spears on the way, but Golden Age 2, it's going to deactivate, so there's no more research speed bonus, but Ourk doesn't really have any upgrades on the way anyway. He's just finished up fitted leatherwork, so he's now really caught up in terms of the feudal age upgrade, so this is great for him. He's starting to really look quite solid, but the knights now engaging the archers once again, so Leenock still has a great advantage here, but Ourk's doing a wonderful job at actually shepherding the rams, while also not being easy for the knights to pick off. Here you go, he's trying to focus on the archers once again, because he knows it's just wasted damage to focus archer versus knight, and Leenock struggling to get the archer number to keep this push going now. But in saying that, there's no front line once again for Ourk, so he's forced. Here we go, he's got some more horsemen, but he was forced to have to try and engage archer on knight there without a choice, which is really not where he wants to be. And horseman versus archer just doesn't trade quite as well as knight versus archer. So Leenock now creeping ahead in terms of archer count once again, and he's managed to catch out Ourk's late expansion onto these berries, so he hasn't had time to actually get a tower up over here. So I think he probably should have been on them earlier, because he could have had the tower up by now, could have had the villagers nice and safe, or at least some of them nice and safe, and dissuade the knights from really sticking around. Because then on top of that, if you're there earlier, you only need to bring 5 villagers, so you can have 5 over on this side on the tower. And even though you've got that initial wood investment, overall they are safer, because the knights have to actually take out the tower and then take out the villagers, and you're only going to lose the 5. And you know, you've got both under your possession, so your opponent's really forced to split everything up. But for now, it looks like Leenock once again pushing. He's got enough knights. He's lost a fair few of his archers though, so Ourk still has the archer lead, but there's no front line once again. He's going to have to garrison the archers here, I think, microing them down to focus on the knight, but really he does need to just garrison them. So he's just going to bleed them otherwise, and GG, Leenock takes game number 1.